Greetings, dear friends, and welcome to Stillness Unfolded. Imagine a lone monk crossing a dew-kissed meadow at dawn, silence broken only by a temple bell's fading toll. This isn't loneliness, it's reverence. Society says aging is loss, but what if it's a bloom, a gift of solitude opening to peace and wisdom? Today, we'll walk a silent path through Buddhist tales, seeking a hidden treasure within us all. Can you guess what it is? This video brims with insight, so stay till the end to catch its full whisper. If it sparks your soul, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Your voice helps Stillness Unfolded grow. Let's step into this journey together. Ready? The fading lanterns, a shift in what matters. Once, in a village cradled by misty mountains, there lived an old woman named Ananda. In her youth, she danced at every festival, her laughter a melody that drew friends like moths to a flame. Her home buzzed with chatter, her days a whirlwind of faces and voices, each one a thread in the tapestry of her identity. But as her hair turned silver and her steps grew slow, she began to sit alone by the river, watching the water carve its patient path through stone. The villagers whispered, "Poor Ananda, abandoned by time." Yet she smiled, her eyes tracing the ripples, for she had uncovered a secret. The urgent chatter of youth had softened into a quiet song of peace, a melody born not from the crowd, but from within. Buddhism teaches us that all things are impermanent: our bodies, frail as bamboo in the wind, our desires, fleeting as clouds across the moon, even the faces we hold dear, drifting like petals on a stream. In our younger days, we seek friendships as mirrors, hoping they reflect back a self we can admire. We collect them like treasures, piling them high in the storehouse of our hearts, believing that more voices mean more worth. I, too, once lived this way, my mornings measured by the clink of teacups shared with others, my evenings lit by the glow of their approval. But as the seasons turned, something shifted. The need to be seen, to be surrounded, began to fade, like lanterns dimming at dusk. What once felt like a void became a sanctuary, a space where the crisp air of a solitary morning brushed my skin, where the weight of a weathered book in my hand whispered truths louder than any crowd. I recall a winter long past, when snow blanketed the earth and I sat alone by the hearth. The flames danced, casting shadows that flickered like old memories. I'd once filled such nights with laughter and talk, fearing the silence would swallow me whole. But that evening, as the fire's warmth seeped into my bones, I realized it was enough. The silence wasn't empty, it was alive with my own thoughts, my own breath, a companion as steady as the river Ananda loved. The world outside faded, and in its place grew a stillness that cradled me like a mother's arms. Tell me, dear friends, when was the last time you sat alone and felt whole? When did the quiet cease to be a stranger and become a friend? Share your moment in the comments below. I'd love to hear how stillness has woven its thread through your soul. The bamboo grove, the strength of standing alone. Long ago, the Buddha left his palace, its golden halls echoing with the voices of courtiers, its silks heavy with expectation. He stepped into the wilderness with nothing but a robe and a heart full of questions, the earth his bed, the stars his only companions. Beneath the Bodhi tree, he sat alone, the night stretching vast around him, until the dawn of understanding broke within like a lotus piercing the dawn's first light. He did not flee from solitude, he embraced it, for he knew that true freedom lies not in the arms of others, but in the courage to stand alone, unshaken by the winds of the world. As we age, we too are called to this bamboo grove of the spirit, a place where the tall stalks sway yet stand firm. For years, we've bent like reeds in the wind, twisting ourselves to fit the shapes others carved for us, friend, confidant, pillar of the family. We've feared the quiet, filling it with voices to prove we are not forgotten, as if our worth hung on the thread of another's gaze. But old age is a gentle permission slip, slipped into our hands by time itself, a chance to shed these burdens, to straighten our backs and stand tall. Self-reliance does not mean cutting ties like a knife through silk, it means choosing them wisely, threading them through the needle of intention rather than obligation. It's the freedom to sip tea alone without longing for company, to walk a forest path and hear only the crunch of leaves beneath your feet, each step a hymn to your own presence. I remember a night years ago, when the moon hung low and full, painting the world in silver. I'd planned to meet friends by the river, their laughter a beacon I'd chased for years. But they couldn't come, and at first, the sting of disappointment bit deep. Then, I lit a candle, its flame trembling like my own resolve, and sat by my window. Shadows played across the wall, weaving tales I'd never paused to hear. That night, I didn't need anyone else, I was enough. Solitude became my teacher, whispering truths I'd drowned in the noise, that peace is not a gift borrowed from others, but a garden cultivated within. The number 4 thing silently revealing this strength is the breath, something so familiar you forget its power until it steadies you in the quiet. Have you ever felt this shift? This moment when the world's absence became your own abundance? Tell me in the comments, I am eager to learn from your stillness. The lotus pond, choosing depth over ripples. In a quiet temple garden, nestled between ancient stones, a monk tended a pond of lotuses. Each day, visitors marveled at the flowers' beauty, their petals unfurling like prayers in the sun. But few noticed how they rose from the mud, their roots anchored deep beneath the surface, drawing life from the unseen. Many see the bloom, the monk would say, his voice soft as the wind, but it's the root that matters. So it is with our relationships as we age. In youth, we chase a sea of faces, skimming the surface like dragonflies, our wings brushing 100 shallow waters. But time, that patient sculptor, reveals a deeper truth. A single lotus, nurtured with presence, outshines 100 fleeting ripples. Buddhism reminds us that all connections are transient, they bloom in the warmth of shared moments, fade with the turning of years, and drift away like petals on the wind. Once, I mourned these losses, clutching at friendships as if they could anchor me against time's tide. But now, I see their impermanence as a gift, a chance to cherish their essence rather than their form. A shared laugh with an old friend over a simple meal, steam rising from a bowl of rice, a glance across a room that says more than words. These moments hold a quiet power, like the lotus rooted in stillness. They ask not for quantity, but for quality, not for the clamor of many, but for the listening of one. In Zen, there's a saying, when drinking tea, drink tea. When we are with others, let us be fully there, heart open, ears attentive, free of the distraction that scatters us like leaves in a storm. I think of my friend Min, whose presence is a lotus in my life. We meet rarely now, our paths diverging with age, but when we do, time folds away. Over a chipped teapot, we speak of small things, the taste of rain, the weight of memory, and in those hours, the world feels complete. What about you? Who is the one person whose presence roots you in meaning, whose quiet company outshines a crowd? Drop their name in the comments. Let's honor those who bloom deep within our lives. The mountain retreat, solitude as a sacred refuge. High in the Himalayas, where the air thins and the sky presses close, a hermit lived in a cave carved by time. Pilgrims climbed the jagged paths to seek his wisdom, expecting grand words to spill like rivers from his lips. But he offered only silence, his eyes tracing the horizon. "Why speak," he said, "when the wind already knows?" They left confused, their questions unanswered, yet some returned, drawn by the peace that radiated from his stillness, a quiet that hummed louder than any sermon. Solitude, in the Buddhist way, is not a punishment, it's a retreat, a chance to sit with the self and hear the universe sing its eternal song. As we grow older, the world's clamor fades, its horns and shouts dissolving into a distant murmur. We're left with our own company, and at first, this may feel like a stranger's shadow, unfamiliar, even daunting, a figure we've avoided in the rush of youth. But linger there, dear friend, and the silence begins to sing. It's in these moments, watching rain trace patterns on a window like tears of the sky, or tracing the lines of a life well lived in the creases of your hands, that we find clarity. Regrets soften, their edges worn smooth by time, lessons sharpen, cutting through the haze of years, and the heart learns to rest, a bird settling into its nest. Solitude is not loneliness, it's the presence of the self, a mirror that reflects not flaws, but wholeness, a face we've forgotten to love. I've come to treasure these quiet hours, these retreats into my own mountain cave. Once, during a storm that rattled the earth, I sat alone on my porch, the rain a curtain between me and the world. Thunder roared, yet I felt no need to speak or be seen, I simply was. The wind howled truths I'd never heard in the chatter of others, and that night, I understood what the hermit knew: solitude is a sanctuary where the soul can breathe, where the noise of wanting falls away. Have you found such a refuge in your own life? When has silence wrapped you in its embrace? Share your story below. I'd love to walk your mountain path with you. The village well, sharing wisdom with those who follow. In a dusty hamlet, where the sun painted the earth gold, an elder named Covey gathered children by the well each evening. His tales of brave monks crossing rivers of fire, cunning foxes outwitting hunters, and lessons carved in stone by the hands of time wove a thread of wonder through their young hearts. One night, a boy asked, "Why do you speak, grandfather, when the stars are quiet?" Covey smiled, dipping his gourd into the well. "Water stays fresh when it flows," he said, "and so does wisdom. So it is with us in age, our understanding, like water, finds purpose in the giving, rippling outward to quench the thirst of those who follow." Buddhism speaks of interdependence, a vast web where every thread, every drop, matters. As the friends of youth fade, their voices lost to the wind, family and community rise like stars at dusk, lighting the path ahead. We become keepers of stories, guides for the lost, hands that steady trembling ones. A grandchild's question, wide-eyed and eager, draws forth tales of resilience. A neighbor's nod over a shared fence becomes a bridge of silent kinship. Through these acts, we plant seeds of understanding, fragile yet fierce, that bloom long after we've returned to the earth. Dana, the practice of generosity, teaches us this: to give without clinging, to pour our wisdom freely, purifies the giver as much as the receiver, like rain cleansing the dust from a leaf. I've felt this joy myself, sitting with my young cousin under a lantern's glow, teaching her to fold a paper crane. Her fingers fumbled, then flew, and when the bird took shape, her eyes lit up with a spark I'd kindled. In that moment, I saw my life ripple beyond me, not in grand deeds, but in the quiet grace of sharing. It's a legacy not of gold or stone, but of the heart's gentle flow. Who have you guided by your well, dear friend? Whose life have you touched with a story or a steady hand? Tell me in the comments. Let's celebrate the water we've shared. The open sky, letting go of the world's chains. A merchant once knelt before the Buddha, his robes heavy with wealth, his brow creased with worry. "Why do I suffer though I have everything?" he asked. The Buddha pointed to a bird soaring free above the dunes. "It flies because it does not carry the sky," he said. So it is with us. Society binds us with rules: be social, be busy, be surrounded, chains forged from the iron of expectation. We wear them through youth, bending beneath their weight, until age arrives like a wind to lift them away. We no longer need to prove ourselves with crowded rooms or endless talk, for peace lies in saying no, in choosing the quiet path over the loud one. This letting go is not withdrawal, it's authenticity, a shedding of masks we've worn too long. It's sitting alone with a cup of tea, steam curling like a prayer, guilt-free because the world's measure no longer fits. I recall a day when I declined a noisy gathering, the kind where voices vied for space like crows over a field. Instead, I walked by the sea, the waves crashing in a rhythm older than time. They didn't care for my presence, and I didn't need them to. I was free, my steps aligned not with expectation, but with the truth of my own heart. The merchant learned this, too, when he set his burdens down and felt the sky lift him. What chains have you released, dear friend? When did you choose your own sky over the world's weight? Share your liberation below. I'd love to soar with you. The candles glow, connection in small things. When the body slows, as it must with time's gentle insistence, connection shifts shape like smoke rising from a dying flame. A monk once lay on a sickbed, his strength waning, yet his spirit reached across mountains through letters scratched on bamboo. His words, frail as his hands, became a lifeline to his disciples, proving that presence needs no grand stage. Today, we have phones humming with voices, screens glowing with faces, airwaves carrying whispers across the void. A smile to a stranger on a quiet street, a call to a friend as dusk falls. These threads weave a tapestry of belonging, delicate yet strong, glowing like a candle in the dark. Buddhism bids us adapt, not resist. If we cannot run, we walk with purpose. If we cannot shout, we whisper with love. In my twilight years, I've found this truth woven into the smallest moments. A text from my niece, brief as a bird's call, warms me more than a crowded hall ever could. A sparrow's song at dawn stitches me to the world without a word. Connection isn't grand, it's present, a flicker that holds steady when all else fades. I think of that monk, his bamboo letters curling with ink and care, and I smile. Distance cannot dim the heart's light. What small thread ties you to another, dear friend? Tell me in the comments, let's weave our candles glow together. The last leaf, a legacy woven in stillness. The Buddha's final gift was not a kingdom of gold, but a teaching carved in the air, live with awareness, leave with peace. Age distills us to this essence, stripping away the husk of ambition until only the seed remains. We tell stories not for fame, but for meaning, tales of storms weathered and lessons gleaned. We offer kindness not for reward, but for love, a hand extended like a leaf falling to nourish the earth. In solitude or company, our presence becomes a lantern, its light soft but sure, illuminating paths we'll never walk ourselves. I've begun writing my own tales, scraps of a life scratched onto paper like leaves pressed between pages. There's one of a night I lost my way in a forest, only to find a stream that led me home, another of a stranger who shared his bread when my stomach growled. They're not grand, but they're mine, a legacy of quiet joy, a whisper to those who'll turn these pages after me. The Buddha knew this. Our truest gift is the peace we embody, the stillness that lingers like the scent of rain. What leaf will you leave behind, dear friend? What story or kindness will light another's way? Share it below. I'd love to see your lantern glow. The endless river, the gift of your own soul. Step back with me, friends, to that monk on the meadow as the sun dips low, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose. He stands alone, yet he's not apart, he's one with the whispering grass, the sigh of the breeze, the fading chime of that distant bell. So it is with us. Solitude isn't a wall shutting out the world, it's a bridge to everything that breathes and flows. As age strips away the masks we've worn, the cravings for youth, the hunger for applause, we find a joy so pure it needs no echo but the self. And here's the quiet twist I've hinted at all along. The number 4 thing silently revealing this truth is the breath, something so familiar, so constant, you forget its power until you sit with it, feel it rise and fall like waves on an endless river. This, dear ones, is the silent path, not a fading, but a homecoming. Sit with me now in the stillness, here at Stillness Unfolded. Feel that river flow within you, steady and deep. You are enough, more than enough. This video has carried us through tales and truths, and I hope you've stayed to catch every ripple, because every moment here was crafted for you. If it stirred something in your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. We're just beginning this journey together, and your support lights the way to more stories like this. Drop your thoughts below. Tell me, what did the silence whisper to you today? Your voice helps Stillness Unfolded grow, bringing more wisdom to souls seeking peace. Thank you for walking this path with me, friends. This isn't the end, it's a pause, a breath, a promise of more to come. Stay until the last note fades, and let's meet again where the stillness unfolds anew.